The footage played again. Commander Voxara stood motionless, her tall insectoid frame lit by the cold blue glow of the holographic display. The exoskeleton of bronze-gold armor reflected shards of light across the command chamber, making her look like a statue carved from living metal. Her mandibles twitched in restrained fury as human warships, boxy, graceless machines, emerged from hyperspace above Paxthera. There was no warning, no hails, no attempt at negotiation. Just fire. Orbital cannons spat lances of energy into the fragile colony domes below, where nurseries sheltered hatchlings too young to survive the poisoned skis of Thex Prime. The domes shattered. Atmosphere boiled into vacuum. Flames devoured what little oxygen remained. Thousands of tiny lives winked out in silence. "Play it again," Voxara commanded, her voice unnaturally calm. Lieutenant Zito, young and unscarred by decades of war, hesitated. "Commander, you've watched it 17 times already, the High Council." "They will have my assessment when I am ready," Voxara snapped, compound eyes never leaving the display. "Play it again." The lieutenant obeyed. What else could he do? When the last surviving military commander of your people gave an order, you followed it, especially when she had lost 3 hatchlings of her own in the attack. The footage burned across the chamber once more, the same merciless sequence. Arrival, bombardment, annihilation. 27,000 children erased in minutes. Zito swallowed hard. Why would the humans do this? Paxthera was a nursery world. There was no military presence. Voxara's mandibles clicked in a sound that was not laughter, though it might have resembled it to a human ear. "That is the question, Lieutenant, but the humans sent an answer." Her clawed hand gestured, and the hologram shifted. The voice that filled the chamber was human, male, speaking accented but clear Thexian standard. "To the government of Thex Prime, the colony on Paxthera has been eliminated as a precautionary measure. Intelligence indicated advanced bioweapon development targeting human physiology. Consider this a proportionate response. The Sol Federation does not seek further conflict. This communication serves as our only warning." The recording ended, leaving a silence so heavy it pressed on Zito's carapace. "Bioweapon development," he whispered, "but Paxthera's laboratories were decommissioned cycles ago." Voxara turned at last, her multifaceted gaze fixing him with cold intensity. "They accused us of making weapons in a nursery." She stepped closer, towering over him. "Tell me, Lieutenant, do you have hatchlings?" "Yes, Commander, 3 with my mate on Thex Prime." "Then you understand what must happen next." Before Zito could respond, the chamber doors parted. Grand Counselor Quill Hafks entered, flanked by guards. His exoskeleton bore the ceremonial gold markings of the ruling caste, though age had dulled their luster. "Commander Voxara," the elder said, voice heavy with weariness, "the council has reached a decision." Voxara straightened, performing the formal greeting gesture despite her simmering rage. "Without hearing my tactical assessment." "We have seen the footage. We have heard the human transmission. The council votes for peace." The word hung in the air like poison. "Peace," Voxara repeated, her voice dripping with venom. "They annihilate our children, lie about the reason, and you vote for peace." Quill Hafks's antennae drooped. "We cannot match their military might. Their territory spans 17 systems. Ours 3. Their population numbers in the billions. Ours barely 200 million. A war would mean extinction." "So we roll over like growworms and let them slaughter us again?" Voxara demanded. "We survive," Quill Hafks said firmly. "We rebuild, we remember." Voxara stepped closer, looming over the counselor. "When the Vex Consortium raided our trade routes, did we sue for peace? When the Carthax tried to seize Thex Secondary, did we surrender?" The old counselor's mandibles clicked. "This is different. This time they killed our children." "Exactly," Voxara snarled. Quill Hafks raised his hands in a placating gesture. "The decision is made, Commander. You will be reassigned to diplomatic duties. Report to." "No." The word was quiet, but it struck the chamber like a blade. Even the guards froze. Quill Hafks's antennae stiffened. "What did you say?" "I said no," Voxara repeated, voice steel. "I will not play diplomat to child killers." With deliberate motion, she removed her command insignia and placed it on the holographic projector. "I resign my commission." The counselor recoiled as if struck. "This is treason." "This is justice." Voxara turned to Zito. Lieutenant, you have 3 hatchlings. What would you do to protect them? Zito looked between his commander and the Grand Counselor, torn in agony. Finally, he removed his own insignia and placed it beside hers. His mandibles clicked with quiet resolve. Anything, Commander, everything. Guards, Quillhavx shouted. Arrest them both. But the guards did not move. One stepped forward instead. Captain Riv, his voice low with fury. My mate was visiting our hatchling on Paxthera when the humans attacked. The second guard added, my clutch sister was a nursery attendant there. Understanding dawned in the counselor's compound eyes. You cannot do this. Whatever you are planning will doom our species. No, counselor, Voxara said, her tone colder than the void between stars. It will save it. The humans have shown us what they are. If we do nothing, how long before they decide our homeworld harbors some imaginary threat? How long before all Thexians are just a memory? Quillhavx's mandibles trembled. Our military cannot stand against them. Who said anything about military action? Voxara's mandibles clicked in that humorless laugh again. Tell me, counselor, what was Paxthera's research division before it was converted into a nursery? The old Thexian's antennae sagged as realization struck. Xenobiology, adaptation of our physiology to alien biospheres. Precisely, Voxara said. The humans accused us of developing bioweapons, a lie but an ironic one. She turned, striding toward the exit, Zito and the guards falling into step behind her. Consider this my final report, Voxara called back. I intend to make their lie into truth. On a distant world, far from Thexian space, Governor Eliza Parker rubbed her temples, trying to process the words of her chief medical officer. No mistake, Governor, Dr. Victor Catry said, exhaustion lining his face. 47% of the colony population is showing symptoms. Infection rate is total. Mortality, 100% once the disease progresses to stage 3. Parker's stomach nodded. What disease? The doctor hesitated before answering. Something engineered. It attacks the nervous system first. Patients feel as if they are burning alive. Then the skin begins to... He slid a tablet across the desk. The images nearly made her retch. Humans with flesh slewing from bone, screaming in agony. My God! Catry's voice was grim. Average time from infection to death is 8 days, and it's not just here. Earth, Mars, Europa, the outer colonies, they're all reporting the same thing. That's impossible, Parker whispered. No natural pathogen could spread that fast across 12 worlds. Exactly, Catry said. It was seeded, coordinated. The governor's comm unit buzzed urgently. Governor Parker, a voice said. Transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Shen requests immediate connection. Parker swallowed hard, put him through. The screen flickered, revealing the weathered face of Admiral Shen. His expression was grim, his voice blunt. Governor, I'll be brief. We've identified the source of the pathogen, Thexians. Their ships were sighted near every affected world shortly before the outbreaks began. Parker's blood went cold. Thexians, why would they? Shen's jaw tightened. 3 months ago, based on intelligence of bioweapon development, we launched a preemptive strike against a Thexian colony. It was deemed necessary for human security. Parker stared horrified. You attacked them first. The Admiral didn't flinch, and now they've answered. The comm went dark, leaving Parker staring at her reflection on the screen. Behind her, Dr. Catry whispered the truth neither wanted to say aloud. This isn't war, Governor. This is extinction. Governor Parker didn't sleep. She sat in her office as dawn rose over Proxima Colony, but the light felt hollow, bleached of hope. Outside the window, the plaza, once filled with children chasing drones, merchants shouting prices, families laughing, was eerily silent. Medical bots drifted between apartments, their sirens whispering bad news. Dr. Catry entered without knocking. He carried a datapad, his dark eyes swollen from lack of rest. It's worse, he said simply. How many? 70% showing symptoms now. Our quarantine nets can't keep up. And Governor, he hesitated. Parker turned, what? He lowered his voice. The pathogen only affects humans, not animals, not livestock, nothing else. She understood at once, targeted. Yes, Catry said. It was designed for us, engineered. Thexian fingerprints are all over its structure. Parker felt her throat tighten. She remembered Admiral Shen's words, "We struck first." The classified strike, the lie fed to the public, the bioweapons on a nursery world. Now the price was being paid by billions who hadn't even known the Thexians existed. "Governor," Catri's voice was soft. "There's something else." He tapped the data pad. "The pathogen mutates too quickly. Every time we model a counteragent, it adapts, almost as if it's intelligent." Parker whispered the word before she realized she'd said it. "Revenge." On Thex Prime, deep within a subterranean laboratory that once studied adaptation for colonization, Commander Voxara stood among scientists who worked with grim purpose. The facility smelled of antiseptic and heat-scorched metal. Tanks of cultured tissue lined the walls. Holographic sequences of DNA scrolled endlessly across the air. Dr. Kreth, lead xenobiologist, bowed his head slightly. "The pathogen functions exactly as designed, Commander. It will not stop until every human nervous system succumbs." "Good," Voxara's mandibles clicked softly. "Let them feel what our children felt when fire rained from their skis." Zito shifted uneasily. "Commander, is this justice, or is it vengeance?" "Both," Voxara said flatly. "The humans chose this path when they struck Paxthura." "But," Zito pressed, voice trembling, "the pathogen kills without distinction. Soldiers, civilians, children." Voxara rounded on him, towering. "And what distinction did the humans make when they destroyed our nurseries? Did they spare our children, our future? No, they killed without hesitation. Now we repay them in kind." Zito looked down, shame battling loyalty. Dr. Kreth spoke again, carefully. "Commander, if I may, there are whispers among the council. They claim your actions could bring doom upon us, if the humans somehow survive." "They will not," Voxara cut him off. "This weapon ensures extinction unless—" She turned toward a sealed chamber at the back of the lab. Within, an experimental vial glowed faint blue against sterile white light. "Unless," she continued, "I decide otherwise." Zito followed her gaze. "What is it?" "A counteragent, a way to prevent the pathogen from activating. Not a cure. It cannot save those already infected, but it could protect those not yet symptomatic." Zito's antennae twitched. "Why would you make such a thing?" Voxara's voice was quiet, almost unreadable. "Because I want them to know mercy exists, so that when they face extinction, they understand they had a choice." Back on Proxima Colony, the governor's comm unit chimed again. "Governor Parker," said the security officer, "you need to come to the perimeter now." She hurried outside. At the edge of the colony dome, a crowd had gathered, staring at the shimmer of the shield. Beyond it, in the crimson dust, stood a figure. Tall, bronze-gold exoskeleton glinting, mandibles twitching in rhythm. A Thexian. Every instinct screamed to raise weapons, but Parker's heart hammered with something else, fear laced with curiosity. The alien raised its four-fingered hands, palms outward, a universal gesture of peace. The shield parted with a hiss. Thexians weren't supposed to be able to cross human defenses. Yet the alien stepped forward as if invisible codes had already been given. The crowd recoiled. Security drones leveled their guns. Parker stepped forward, pulse pounding. "Stand down," she ordered. The alien bowed slightly. Its voice, filtered through a translator device, was melodic, almost haunting. "I am Commander Voxara of Thex Prime," it said, "the architect of your extinction." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Parker's hand moved instinctively to the pistol at her side. "Give me one reason why I shouldn't kill you right now." "Because that weapon will not pierce my carapace," Voxara replied evenly. "And because I may be the only one who can save a fragment of your kind." The crowd erupted in shouts. "Murderer, monster, kill it." Parker raised her hand. "Quiet." Her voice cut through the chaos. Voxara extended a pouch and placed a small vial on the ground between them. The liquid shimmered amber in the sunlight. "This," Voxara said, "is mercy, a modified form of the pathogen. It will kill quickly without pain. You may choose it for your people, a swift death instead of days of agony." Parker's mouth went dry. Thexian eyes glittered as Voxara continued. "But there is another choice, a different vial, a counteragent. It exists. I will decide who receives it." The crowd hissed with outrage. Some surged forward, fists raised, but Parker's guards restrained them. Parker forced herself to speak steadily. "Why come here? Why show me this?" Voxara's gaze was like burning glass. Because extinction is too simple, too merciful. I want you to understand what you have done before your species disappears. The alien reached again into her pouch, producing a hollow emitter. With a tap, it sprang to life. Footage filled the air. Paxthera, but not from orbit, from the surface. Children running in a nursery dome, caretakers singing. And then light from the sky, fire tearing through walls, tiny bodies flung into vacuum, silence. The footage shifted. Thexian scientists in a lab, splicing DNA, weaving vengeance. This, Voxara said quietly, is what you did, and this is what we did in return. The crowd was silent now, horror etched into every face. Parker swallowed hard, her voice shook. If you've already doomed us, why even offer a chance? Voxara's mandibles twitched, a sound like a sigh. Because my youngest hatchling once asked me if human children looked at the stars the same way ours do. I would like to honor his question with the chance for an answer. She leaned closer. Tell me, Governor, do they? Parker's throat closed. She thought of her daughter on Earth, who loved to sneak out onto the roof and count constellations until sleep claimed her. Yes, she whispered, they do. For the first time, Voxara's compound eyes flickered, not softening but shifting, as if something deep inside had stirred. Interesting, she murmured. Before Parker could speak again, alarms wailed. A frantic voice crackled over the comm. Governor, Earth Command has launched a counterstrike. Human warships carrying nuclear payloads are en route to Thex Prime. The crowd erupted in panic. Voxara's mandibles clicked in what might have been bitter amusement. They launch genocide, she said softly, even as they die by their own arrogance. She straightened to her full height, towering over Parker. Now, Governor, Voxara said, choose your side. Will you stand with those who ordered the slaughter of hatchlings, or will you fight for something better? Parker stared at the alien, at the vial, at the terrified faces of her people. Her next words would decide more than her own fate. They would decide if humanity had any future at all. The colony dome trembled as thunder rolled across the sky. Not natural thunder engines. Human warships cut through the clouds, their hulls gleaming with the cold light of orbital firepower. Governor Parker stood at the observation deck, hands white-knuckled on the railing. How many? Security Chief Morales's voice was grim. 3 warships, half a dozen drone ships, maybe more behind them. They're broadcasting orders from Earth Command, detain or eliminate the Thexian operative. Dr. Katri muttered, eliminate more likely. They don't want mercy, they want a corpse to parade. Voxara stood among them, towering, her exoskeleton catching the flicker of warning lights. She was motionless, but her compound eyes tracked every ship with unnerving calm. They come not to save you, she said, her voice metallic cold. They come to silence you, to bury truth beneath fire. Parker spun toward her. And what would you have me do? Hand you over, let them destroy you here on top of the graves they already dug. Voxara tilted her head. You could, but then you prove them right, that humans choose survival through lies and slaughter. Morales snarled. She's manipulating you, Governor, you can't trust her. Parker ignored him. What's your plan, Voxara? Because I see that look in your eyes, you expected this. For the first time, the Thexian commander allowed her mandibles to click in what might almost have been humor. Of course. Do you truly think I would step into the jaws of my enemy without a contingency? She raised one clawed hand. A holographic projection burst to life above it, orbiting satellites hidden in the colony's sky for weeks. Their payloads blinked red. Katri paled. You seeded weapons here. Voxara's eyes glittered. Failsafes. Should Earth Command strike me down, these will release another wave of the pathogen, stronger, untreatable, irreversible. Parker's breath caught. You'd kill us all. I already have, Voxara said simply. The question is whether I allow any remnant to remain. The observation deck fell silent, except for the growing roar of the approaching fleet. Admiral Shen's voice crackled over the comm, filling every speaker in the colony. Governor Parker, this is Earth Command. Stand down. Hand over the alien or be treated as hostile. You are ordered to comply immediately. Parker's jaw clenched. Admiral Shen, this is madness. We need her alive. She holds the key to countermeasures against the pathogen. Lies, Shen snapped. She engineered it. Nothing she offers can be trusted. Voxera leaned close, whispering just loud enough for Parker to hear. He will not listen. He cannot. His pride blinds him. Shen's voice thundered. You have 1 hour, Governor. Surrender her or we open fire. The channel cut. Catri's hands shook. Eliza, if they fire on us, the colony's gone. Every man, woman, child. Parker forced steel into her voice. Then we don't give them the chance. Morales barked. You can't seriously be protecting her. She's holding a kill switch over us. Parker turned slowly to Voxera. Is it true? Would you actually unleash it? The Thexian commander's eyes reflected the pale faces around her. If your kind destroys me, yes, it is justice. It is deterrence. Zito, who had been silent until now, spoke suddenly, his young voice trembling but clear. Commander, must it always be vengeance? My hatchlings live because of sacrifices. If we answer death only with death, what future remains for any of us? Voxera's antennae twitched. You question me, Lieutenant. I follow you, Zito said, standing taller than his frame should allow. But I wonder, are we protecting our people or just avenging them? The silence that followed was heavier than the threat of the fleet outside. Down below, the colony plaza had become a storm. Civilians crowded the streets, shouting, desperate, terrified. Some demanded Parker hand over the alien. Others, fewer but louder, demanded Earth Command leave. The colony was splitting apart. Catri whispered at Parker's side. This is what extinction looks like, not just bodies, but trust breaking, community unraveling. Parker pressed her hand to the glass, watching her people tear at one another. And then an idea sparked, dangerous, reckless, maybe insane, but the only path left. She turned to Voxera. You say you want us to understand what we've done, to face the truth. Then help me show it, not just here, but to every human fleet, every colony. Voxera tilted her head, considering. Parker pressed on. Broadcast the footage. Paxthera, the nurseries, the hatchlings, show them what Admiral Shen won't. If humanity sees the truth, maybe, just maybe, they'll choose something different. Morales gaped. Governor, are you insane? That would shatter Earth Command's control. It's treason. Maybe treason is what's needed, Parker shot back. Voxera's mandibles twitched in that unsettling almost laugh. You would risk your own standing, your life, to show your people the truth. Yes, Parker said firmly. Because if we die without facing what we've done, then maybe we deserve extinction. The alien studied her for a long, quiet moment. Then slowly she extended a clawed hand. Very well, Governor, let us reveal their sins to the stars. Above, the human warships drew closer, forming a blockade. Admiral Shen's command vessel loomed, its weapons powered, its drones ready to strike. Inside his command center, Shen stood rigid, his face carved in stone. Governor Parker has lost control, he told his officers. She's compromised. We cannot allow that alien to manipulate her. Ready weapons. But before he could give the order, his calm officer cried out. Sir, incoming transmission, override priority. The main screen flickered and filled with horror. Paxthera. The nursery dome shattering, children screaming, fire raining from the sky. The footage played across every frequency, unjammable, unstoppable. Human crews froze, eyes wide, some choking back bile. And then Voxera's voice filled the air, calm and deadly. This is what your leaders call a precautionary strike. 27,000 children slaughtered, my children among them, and now your people die as ours did, not from justice, but from fear and arrogance. The footage ended, silence followed. On Shen's bridge, whispers rose, officers glancing at one another, some refusing to meet his gaze. Sir, one muttered, is it true? Shen slammed a fist against the console. Propaganda, lies, but his voice cracked and doubt spread like fire. In Proxima's command chamber, Parker stood beside Voxera as the last frames faded from the colony's sky. Catri whispered, awed, they'll never be able to silence this. It's everywhere now. Morales cursed under his breath. You've just painted targets on all our backs. Parker turned on him. No, we've shown them the truth. What they do with it, that decides if humanity lives or dies. Suddenly the ground shook. The sky outside turned blinding white. Impact, Morales shouted. One of Shen's drones fired, direct hit on Sector 9. Parker's heart stopped. Civilians, homes, thousands. She turned to Voxera, fury blazing. Stop this. Call off your failsafes before we all burn. But Voxera's compound eyes gleamed coldly. "Governor, I did not fire." The lights flickered. A second blast rocked the dome. Catri's face drained of blood. Then who? An emergency feed blinked alive. A drone ship, human unmistakable, was firing indiscriminately, not at the alien, not at military targets, but at the colony itself. Shen's voice thundered over comms. "Governor Parker, you are hereby declared a traitor. Proxima Colony is to be purged." Parker's knees nearly buckled. Her own people condemned by their own command. Voxera's mandibles clicked softly. "Now you see, Governor, this is the curse of humanity, not just cruelty, but cruelty turned inward." She turned toward the stars. "But if you would prove me wrong, then stand. Fight not against me, but against your own." Another blast hit. Screams echoed through the colony. Parker's choice had come. Not between alien and human, but between truth and annihilation. The dome shook like the shell of a dying beast. Screams filled the corridors as another blast ripped through Proxima Colony, shattering glass and buckling walls. Sirens howled. The colony that had once been a jewel of human settlement was being torn apart by its own fleet. Governor Parker staggered to her feet, dust and smoke choking her lungs. Morales grabbed her arm, shouting over the chaos. "We have to evacuate. If Shen wants the colony purged, we can't hold against 3 warships." Parker shook him off. "No, we're not abandoning them. We get the civilians underground into the shelters." A support beam groaned and collapsed behind them, crushing 2 med drones flat. The air filled with the smell of burning plastics and scorched flesh. Dr. Catri stumbled into the command chamber, face smeared with soot. "Governor, the medical bays are gone. Thousands injured. We need power for life support or we'll lose them all." Parker turned to Voxera, who stood unflinching amid the destruction, her bronze-gold carapace gleaming through smoke. "You can stop this," Parker spat. "If you have any shred of mercy, bring down Shen's fleet." Voxera's compound eyes glittered. "I could, but tell me, Governor, why should I? These are your people, not mine." Parker stepped forward until she was inches from the towering alien. "Because if you want to prove you're more than vengeance, this is the moment. Show me you're not just a monster." For a long, terrible second, Voxera was silent, then her mandibles twitched. "Very well." She tapped a device on her arm. Above, hidden satellites stirred. Energy rippled across the sky like shattered auroras. Suddenly, Shen's drones faltered mid-attack, engines sputtering. Several spun out of formation, slamming into the atmosphere in streaks of fire. The bombardment slowed. But not enough. Shen's voice boomed across comms, ragged with fury. "So it's true. You've allied with the alien. Then you've chosen your fate, Parker. I'll bury you with her." Zito rushed into the chamber, his young exoskeleton streaked with black from smoke. "Commander, human ground troops have deployed outside the colony. They're advancing fast." "Troops," Parker repeated in disbelief. "They're not here to purge, they're here to capture us alive." Voxera's mandibles clicked in a humorless rhythm. "Alive or dead, it makes no difference. They will tear this colony apart until nothing remains." Parker grabbed Morales. "Get every civilian into the underground transit tunnels. Seal them in if you have to. Buy us time." Morales hesitated. "Governor, if we hold here, we won't last." "We don't need to win," Parker said. "We just need to survive long enough for the truth to spread." The first clash came in the outer plaza. Human Marines in black armor stormed through the breach, rifles spitting fire. Colonists screamed and scattered. Morales and his few loyal security officers returned fire, but they were outgunned, outnumbered, and outtrained. Voxera waded into the chaos like a living war machine. Her claws tore weapons from soldiers' hands. Her armor deflected plasma bursts that would have vaporized human flesh. She moved with a predator's precision, every strike lethal. Parker ducked behind a shattered kiosk, firing her sidearm at a Marine who had Morales pinned. Her shot went wide, but Voxera's claw didn't. She split the soldier's chest plate like paper, leaving him gasping in his last breath. "You fight with desperation," Voxera said, standing over her. "Not training." Parker snarled, firing again. This time she hit, dropping another Marine. "Desperation's all we've got left." Zito fought alongside his commander, his strikes less precise but burning with rage. At one point, he ripped a weapon from a human's grip and turned it on them, firing wildly. But when the Marine fell, choking, Zito froze, staring at the blood on his claws. Lieutenant, Voxera barked, "Do not falter." He stammered, "Commander, they're not hatchling killers. They're just soldiers following orders." Her eyes hardened. "And did our hatchlings matter to the humans who followed orders? Fight, or you will die like them." Zito's mandibles trembled as he raised the weapon again. By the time the battle slowed, the plaza was a graveyard. Bodies sprawled across shattered stone, human and Thexian alike. Smoke hung like a shroud. Parker staggered to her feet, ears ringing. She saw Morales still standing, blood streaming from a wound in his arm. Katri was helping a group of civilians drag the injured into cover. And Voxera, unscathed, watching her breathing steady, her mandibles clicking in quiet rhythm. Parker spat blood and turned on her. "Is this what you wanted? More corpses? Another nursery burned, only this time with my people." Voxera's gaze was unreadable. "This is what happens when your kind seeks domination instead of truth. I gave them a chance to see. They chose war." Parker's chest heaved. "No, Shen chose war, not them. Don't you dare blame every human for one man's madness." Zito stepped forward, voice trembling. "Commander, she's right. Not all humans are guilty. Not all deserve death." Voxera rounded on him. "You speak as though they spared us. Did you not see Pax the burn?" "I did," Zito said, his mandibles quivering. "And it haunts me. But if we become them, if we kill without distinction, then what future is left for Thexians?" For the first time, Voxera faltered. Her antennae lowered, her mandibles stilled. Parker seized the moment. "You have the counteragent, I know it. If you want to prove your people are better than us, then give it to me. Save who can be saved." The Thexian commander turned slowly, eyes reflecting firelight. "You want the salvation I carry?" Her voice was low, dangerous. "Then prove humanity deserves it." Before Parker could answer, Morales staggered in, pale and trembling. "Governor, you need to see this." He activated a comm feed. Admiral Shen's face filled the screen, lips curled in a predator's smile. "I gave you a chance, Parker. You defied me. Now the Sol Federation will make an example of your colony." Behind him, a tactical map flickered. Red indicators marked not just Proxima, but Earth, Mars, and the outer colonies. Shen's voice dropped into cold finality. "We've initiated Project Last Dawn. Every human world under quarantine will be purged. Better to burn our own than let the alien contagion spread unchecked. Billions will die, but humanity will survive." Parker's blood ran cold. "He's going to—" "Yes," Katri whispered, horrified. "He'll destroy us all." The comm cut. Silence. And then Voxera spoke, voice like a blade. "So, humanity's curse reveals itself, not from me but from within." She stepped closer, towering over Parker, her compound eyes gleaming. "Now, Governor, tell me, why should I save your people from themselves?" The command chamber was deathly quiet. Admiral Shen's words still echoed like poison. "Better to burn our own than let the alien contagion spread unchecked." Governor Parker gripped the console so hard her knuckles bled. "He's gone mad. He's going to glass our colonies, billions of innocents." Dr. Katri shook his head hollow. "Not madness, cold logic. He thinks extinction by his own hand is preferable to humiliation at theirs." Morales spat, voice ragged. "That bastard's worse than the Thexian. At least she's honest about what she's doing." Voxera's mandibles twitched, her compound eyes locked on Parker. "You see now, humanity does not need me to destroy it. You do that yourselves." Parker whirled on her, fury blazing. "Don't you dare lump us all in with him. Shen doesn't speak for me, or for most of us." "Then prove it," Voxera said quietly. She withdrew a second vial from her pouch. This one shimmered blue like liquid starlight. She held it up, the glow casting strange reflections across her armored face. "The counteragent, enough to inoculate 10,000. Katri's breath caught. "It's real." Voxera's mandibles clicked once sharp. "Yes, but it is not yours yet." Parker's voice was low, dangerous. "What do you want from me?" The Thexian leaned close, towering over her. "Convince me your people deserve survival." Outside, the bombardment slowed, but the threat above remained. Proxima's shelters were overflowing. Children cried in the darkness while parents whispered false promises of safety. Zito stood on the balcony overlooking the chaos. His antennae drooped. Commander, when I look at them, I see us, Paxthera's hatchlings, innocent, afraid. Voxera approached, her steps heavy. Do not forget, Lieutenant, these innocents were silent when their leaders murdered ours. They didn't know, Zito said firmly. You taught me to fight with honor. Tell me, Commander, is vengeance without distinction honorable? For a long moment, Voxera said nothing. Then she turned away, mandibles clicking softly. In the underground tunnels, Parker moved among the civilians. She knelt by a little girl coughing violently, her face pale. The mother looked up with hollow eyes. Governor, will my child live? Parker swallowed hard. We're doing everything we can. But when she rose, Katri was waiting. His voice was harsh. You're lying to them. We can't save everyone. Parker snapped back. I know that, damn it, but I can't let them see me give up. Katri's eyes softened. Then don't give up, not to Shen, not to her. Fight for them. Above, Shen's fleet prepared the next phase. On his flagship, Shen stood at the tactical map. Commence strikes on Mars and Europa. Begin the purge. Proxima is secondary. Let Parker and her alien rot together. His officers shifted uneasily. One finally spoke. Sir, with respect, civilians, billions. Shen's gaze was ice. Better billions dead than all enslaved. Execute my orders. But whispers spread through the crew. The footage of Paxthera had seeded doubt, and doubt gnawed like rot. Back in the colony's command chamber, Parker faced Voxera again. If Shen succeeds, both our peoples are finished. You said you want us to understand. Well, understand this. He doesn't represent humanity. Help me stop him, and I'll make sure history remembers the truth. Voxera studied her unmoving. Words, I have heard many. Why should I trust yours? Because, Parker said fiercely, I'm not asking you to save us. I'm asking you to let me try. Zito stepped forward. Commander, she speaks with conviction. Perhaps she is the answer to Tir Naka's question. Voxera's antennae twitched. For the first time, she looked away. Then she placed the blue vial on the console. One chance, Governor, fail me and your species dies. The plan formed quickly. Voxera's cloaked ship would breach Shen's blockade. Parker and Katri would board Shen's flagship with a stolen marine shuttle, broadcasting the truth directly to his officers and crew. If they could shatter his command, the purge might falter. Morales stared at Parker like she'd lost her mind. That's suicide. Parker strapped on a rifle. Maybe, but it's the only shot we've got. Voxera handed her a small device. This contains the counteragent formula. Deliver it to those who prove worthy. Parker met her alien gaze. If I don't come back, promise me you'll use it. Voxera's mandibles twitched, unreadable. We shall see. The shuttle launched under cover of debris. Parker sat in the cramped cockpit, Katri beside her, hands shaking as he adjusted stolen controls. The stars ahead glittered with the cold shapes of Shen's warships. Katri whispered, if we fail, Eliza, it won't matter what truth we showed. Humanity will die hated and feared. She tightened her grip on the controls. Then we don't fail. On Shen's flagship, alarms blared as the shuttle docked. Marines swarmed, weapons ready. Parker and Katri emerged with hands raised, surrendering. Shen himself awaited them, flanked by guards, his face twisted into a sneer. Governor Parker, how generous of you to deliver yourself and your pet scientist. Parker's voice was steady. Call off Project Last Dawn, Shen. You're murdering our own people. They're already dead, Shen snapped. Thexian plague ensures that. My plan spares humanity's legacy, even if only a remnant survives. By turning us into monsters, Parker shot back. By killing children. Shen's eyes blazed. Better monsters than extinct. He raised his hand to signal the guards. But before the order fell, Katri activated the broadcast device hidden in his sleeve. Lights flared. Screens across the ship filled with images. Paxthera again, the nurseries, the hatchlings. And then Parker's voice boomed across every deck. This is the truth your admiral hides. Humanity struck first. He would rather burn us all than admit it. Is this the legacy you want? A future built on lies and ash. Whispers rippled through the corridors. Soldiers hesitated. Officers froze. Shen's face twisted with rage. Cut that feed now. But no one moved. On Proxima, Voxera watched the transmission hijack Shen's fleet. She stood tall, Zito at her side. They see now, the young lieutenant whispered. Perhaps, Voxera said softly, but will they act? Suddenly, her sensors screamed. Shen's flagship was powering its main weapon, aimed not at her, not at Proxima, but at Earth itself. Her mandibles clicked in horror. He means to destroy his own cradle. Zito's eyes widened. Commander, if he succeeds. Yes, Voxara said. Then humanity dies by its own hand. Back aboard the flagship, Parker realized the same. Shen had bypassed his officers, locked weapons himself. She lunged forward, shoving past guards, but Shen drew his sidearm, aiming at her chest. You won't stop me, he hissed. I'll end this war in one stroke. Katri shouted, Eliza. The weapon's charge hummed, Shen's finger tightened. And then, a shot rang out. Shen staggered, eyes wide, as blood blossomed across his uniform. Behind him, one of his own Marines lowered his rifle, face pale. I won't murder children. Shen collapsed lifeless. The bridge was silent, except for the alarms screaming around them. Parker turned to the stunned crew. Then end this. End Project Last Dawn. Choose life, not death. Slowly, one by one, the officers moved. Commands relayed. The purge halted. Weapons powered down. Across the fleet, engines dimmed. Humanity had pulled back from the brink. But even as relief swept the decks, Parker's comm buzzed. Voxara's voice came through, sharp and cold. Governor Shen is dead, but do not celebrate yet. The pathogen mutates faster than expected. Within cycles, even the counteragent may fail. Parker's blood froze. Then what do we do? Voxara's compound eyes gleamed in the hologram. You adapt or you die, just as we all must. The warships drifted in uneasy silence above Proxima. Shen's body was scarcely cold, but his death had broken the chain of command. Across the fleet, soldiers and officers murmured in shock. Some wept quietly. Others stared blankly at the screens replaying Paxthera's destruction, unable to reconcile the truth with the lies they'd been fed. Governor Parker stood on the flagship's bridge, chest heaving, blood still drying on her temple. Katri was beside her, exhausted but alive. You did it, he whispered. You stopped Last Dawn. Parker shook her head. No, one fanatic is gone, but the plague still spreads. Billions are sick. Thexian counteragent may buy us time, but Voxara just warned it won't hold forever. A Marine approached nervously, rifle lowered. Governor, what now? Parker looked out at the stars, their cold light bathing her face. Now we survive, and we prove we're worth saving. On Proxima, Voxara watched her tactical screens. Zito hovered at her side, antennae trembling with uncertainty. They halted the purge, he said. Humanity chose restraint. For now, Voxara answered, but their sickness still consumes them. She tapped the console, projecting the mutating pathogen's genome. Its shifting strands of code danced like a living thing, mocking every attempt at stability. Zito's mandibles clicked uneasily. If even the counteragent fails. Then they perish, Voxara said. Her voice was steady, but her antennae lowered slightly. Zito dared to speak. Commander, forgive me, but do you want them to perish? Voxara turned her compound eyes toward him. For a long moment she said nothing. Then softly, I wanted them to suffer, to feel our pain. But my hatchling once asked me if human children look at the stars as ours do. And now I wonder, if they die, who will answer that question? The Council on Earth convened in emergency session. What remained of leadership argued bitterly across fractured comms. Some demanded vengeance against Thexians. Others pleaded for peace, most simply begged for survival. But for the first time in human history, the truth of Paxthera was everywhere. On every colony, people saw the hatchlings. Children burned into their dreams, and the old certainties of Earth command shattered. Riots broke out, not against Thexians, but against the Admiralty. Citizens demanded accountability. Soldiers deserted, unwilling to carry out genocidal orders. Humanity's soul was being ripped apart, but something new was stirring in the ashes. Shame, sorrow, and the fragile seed of change. Governor Parker returned to Proxima and stood again before Voxara. The alien loomed like a living statue, but Parker no longer flinched under her gaze. You were right, Parker admitted. We did this to ourselves as much as to you, but help us now and I swear we'll change. Voxara tilted her head. Your words echo those of many leaders before you, and yet history is written in blood. Parker stepped forward, her voice raw. Then let's write something different, not forgiveness, not yet, but survival for both our peoples. Zito's mandibles twitched. Commander, if we give them the full counteragent, perhaps. Voxara silenced him with a look. Then she extended a clawed hand and placed the vial of blue liquid in Parker's palm. 10,000 lives, Voxara said. That is all this will save, choose wisely. Parker's throat tightened. 10,000 out of billions. The rest, Voxara said, is in your hands, adapt or die. The days that followed were agony. Parker faced the cruelest task of her life, deciding who would receive salvation. The young were chosen first, children, immune to the sins of their elders. Then healers, teachers, builders, military leaders were denied. Even Katri protested when his own request was pushed aside in favor of a young medic who had saved dozens during the bombardment. You need me, Katri argued. Parker's eyes glistened. We need the future more. When the counteragent was finally distributed, hope flickered. For the first time, some humans resisted the plague fully, yet millions still died screaming in the streets. Mass graves filled. Entire cities fell silent. The world mourned. And yet something endured. Humanity had been culled but not extinguished. 10 years later, the Paxthera colony had been rebuilt on the same scarred soil where its nurseries once burned. Voxara stood on the observation platform, her exoskeleton scarred but strong. Below, Thexian hatchlings played in gravity pools, their laughter echoing like music. Lieutenant Zito, now Commander Zito, approached. Transmission from Earth, Commander. Governor Parker wishes to speak. Voxara nodded. The screen flickered to life, revealing Parker, older now, her hair streaked with gray but her eyes still sharp. Commander Voxara, she said formally. Governor Parker. Parker's voice softened. Today marks 10 years since the reckoning. I wanted you to know we've kept our promise. Every child learns about Paxthera, about what our military did, and about what you did in return. Voxara's antennae twitched. You remember the hatchlings. Parker's eyes glistened. Their names are carved into a memorial in Geneva, including your children. For once, Voxara found herself without words. Parker continued. We are different now, fewer, yes, but more thoughtful, more careful. We've rebuilt Earth and Mars. We've kept the quarantine you demanded. And our children grow up learning about yours. They have questions. They want to talk to Thexian children, to learn, to understand. Voxara stiffened. Cultural exchange was not to be considered for 90 years. Not diplomacy, Parker clarified. Just children, letters, drawings, small steps. Voxara turned to watch the hatchlings below. Their laughter rose like sunlight through water. She thought of Tir Naka, who had once asked if human children looked at the stars as his people did. Perhaps it was time to find out. The High Council of Thexians debated fiercely, but Voxara lent her weight to Parker's request. At last, cautious approval was given. The first messages arrived weeks later. A packet of crude drawings from Earth's children, stars scrawled in crayon, human stick figures standing beside bug-like shapes labeled friends. Simple, innocent, unburdened by the past. Thexian hatchlings replied with their own. Glowing symbols, awkward sketches of humans with too many limbs, laughter scrawled into pictograms. For the first time, both peoples shared more than pain. They shared curiosity. 1 year later, a human vessel entered Thexian space for the first time in a decade. No weapons, no soldiers, only children's voices broadcast across every frequency, singing an old Earth lullaby. Voxara stood on the observation deck as the sound washed over her. Zito was beside her. They look at the stars the same way, she whispered almost to herself. Zito's antennae twitched. Perhaps one day they will look at each other the same way too. Voxara's mandibles clicked softly, not in bitterness but in something else, something she had not felt in years. Hope. Epilogue. History would remember the reckoning of Paxthera as a tragedy without equal, millions dead, 2 species scarred forever. But in its ashes, something fragile was born. Humanity endured, changed by loss. The Thexians rebuilt, tempered by vengeance but softened by memory. And across the void, children of both peoples looked at the stars, not as enemies, not as prey and predator, but as fellow travelers. It was not forgiveness, it was not peace. But it was a beginning.